So today we're going to make a wristlet style keychain using some quilted scraps. We're going to start with a keychain finding that's got two little grippy sort of blades on the inside that grasp the fabric, and I'll try and put the link in the description. I'm measuring mine so that I can add my 1/4 inch seam on when I'm deciding what size of scraps I'm going to use for this. So when I'm talking about quilted scraps, I'm talking about the bit that you trim off when you're squaring something up or trimming something down. So it's just that leftover bit that normally ends up in the fabric bin. So you can have a double-sided one or a single-sided one. So once you've got your scraps, you're going to measure your keychain finding. As I said, this is a kind of a big, thicker strip, I guess, of leftover quilting. So I'm going to fold this one in half and sew it right sides together down one edge. So I'm just checking whether I can get away with using this one because the Keyfob thing is about 1 inch, and so really I need 1.5 inches, and this is just a little bit less, so we're just going to cheat it. I'll just do a scant 1/4 inch seam. So I've done that all the way down the one side, and then comes the tricky bit, especially if you're doing one of these folded versions. So I will show you the other version where you would just have one piece of quilted fabric and then a bit of quilting cotton for the back. So this is, you need two sides. So this one's just been folded, sewn down one side, and now we have to turn it. So this is the first of the hacks I wanted to show you, which is you've probably seen this one before, use a safety pin to turn something. So you might have seen this for like bag straps, but I could never get this to work for me. I could never get it turned around, even if it was just with quilting cotton and not with like quilted scraps like this is. So this is what I do. I take a chopstick and I put the thinnest end and I try and butt it up against the thick metal clasp at the top of the safety pin. I don't know if you can see it there, but so it's basically inside the safety pin, but the safety pin's shut. And so I'm using the pressure of the chopstick to push the safety pin through. Now, when it's both sides are quilted like this, you're having to kind of wiggle and wrestle. If you've done it with quilting cotton, you'd probably know it comes away much quicker. So I'll show you a bit later, how it can be quicker if you've got sort of one side quilted and one side quilting cotton. But if you are going to do it this way, so doubled up with the batting on both sides, you really just have to be patient. It will come. So you just have to keep on wiggling. You do what you can to move a tiny bit down, shimmy, 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 and you're aiming to get the safety pin to show up, on the other end. And once it does that, you can usually just sort of pull it through and it'll come much quicker. So you kind of almost just have to jiggle it past a certain point, and then it'll just pulling it through and shimmying it along will finally make it come. So I didn't speed this up just to show you, in case you're thinking this isn't working, that this is how long it would take to genuinely do it if you're going to have both sides with batting. It would be quicker with just the one side, and it would be quicker again if you're just using 2 scraps of quilting cotton. But once you get to this point, you might have to do a little bit of shimmying at the bottom here and just pulling, but once you get it, it does eventually just do this and sort of slide out. And then you're going to want to press it flat. I'm actually going to test it for size because this one's a bit long and I want it to kind of fit my wrist. So after I take the safety pin out, you'll see me kind of testing my hand and sort of chopping bits off. But while you watch me do that, I do want to say, don't run ahead and do this just yet. I've got a few more hacks for how to make your wristlet look a little bit more professional. So even this one, I originally put the fastening on and then I wasn't happy with it, and I went back and redid it. So I'll show you why, and I'll show you how to take off the keychain finding if you find you've made a mistake or you don't like it and you want to start again. And I'll show you the things that I think can kind of make it look a little bit better so you don't have to make those mistakes. So this is just me going, is that a comfortable size? And decided it was. So this is just, I'm speeding this up now. This is just to show you can also do it with a much thinner quilting scraps, you might not have needed to trim off a great big thick piece, so you don't have a big enough piece to turn inside out. So I've got one side there, and then this is just a scrap of quilting cotton, and that's going to be the back. So again, we're going to sew it right sides together. Obviously do your best to make them match. You can see mine doesn't, but I just cheat it. So don't worry about that. And then I'm going to do my safety pin chopstick hack again. Now this is obviously sped up, but even if it weren't, it was at least, you know, half the speed of, like, it was that twice as fast, sorry, twice or even 3 times as fast as the version with the 2 sides that were quilted. So if you've never turned something, you've never done a bag strap or turned anything around like this, then maybe try 2 scraps of quilting cotton first, and then go at it and try and use one side of a quilted leftover. So that's that one turned around. And then again, I'm just sort of tidying up the ends, and then I would press it again, and then I'm going to show you how to put on the keychain finding. Okay, so the second hack that I wanted to show you is that I always partially close these before I try and put the fabric in. I mean, it may be just that my little plier things are a bit small for the job, but I also just, you know, this is meant to be a kind of a beginner project, and I always, when I started doing it, I found it really hard to center the fabric because there was such a big gap. So you're like holding it with one hand and trying to shut it with the other. So shut it a little bit first, and then you put both ends in. Make prettiest side to the front that doesn't have the little holes. So the back is going to have a couple holes. So put the pretty quilted side to the front. And then you just try, see, it just slips out all the time. So even when I've closed it a bit, so you need to just kind of hold it steady, do one little bit for each side at a time. And I'm going to show you another little hack of what to do if you end up with a little bit kind of sticking out one edge, because it can be really hard to kind of center this and keep it the way it is unless you've got some sort of a vise or something to hold it with. It's just one of those projects that looks simple when you see someone do it, you know, on like a sped up tutorial or something, and then you try and do it and it just seems so fiddly. So these are the little things that I've found that make it easier. So this is me just using the pliers to push it together on either side. And then I've got, you see that little bit sticking out the edge. So that's what I'm going to show you in a second. So I use my chopstick again for this. So it'll move up. There I am. So you just use the skinny end and you just push in that bit that's poking out that shouldn't be as much as you can. And just to get it so you can't see it. And then you're going to tighten it again so that you really can't see it. So that works for me if I have a little bit just kind of that's not behaving, I guess. Okay, so you tighten it as much as you can, and essentially that's it finished. But so don't run ahead and finish yet. I've still got some tips. These aren't the finished articles. I know it looks, you could be fooled in thinking that it is, but there's still some things that I decided I wasn't happy with. So I will show you what those are in just a second. Okay, so here are some sort of finished wristlets. So there's the 2 quilted ones, and then I did a few with, with quilting cotton. And there is one that I top stitched, and I think it looks much better than the others. And then I also did one with a scrap of Tula Pink, like ribbon or band, I'm not sure exactly what you call that, with quilting cotton on the back. And again, I top stitched those ones. And so when I saw them together, I thought the quilted ones really need top stitching. So that's the first issue. The next issue you could run into is you might find marks from when you were pushing the pliers in on your keychain finding. So I'm going to show you a hack for how to avoid that a bit later on. First of all, if you've gone ahead and attached your finding and you're like, actually, I wanted to top stitch that, it's going to look so much better, then this is the only way I've been able to find to open it back up again. So that's just a regular, dinner knife. And I'm just sliding it in just to loosen it enough so that I can get the pliers in, because obviously the pliers are a little bit thicker than the knife. Now, remember at the back, there is this little sharp, those are 2 little sharp blades that are kind of gripping at the fabric. So it's kind of hard. You might end up tearing the end of the fabric a tiny bit, so you would just have to then trim it and make it a tiny bit shorter if you felt strongly enough that you wanted to take it apart and fix that issue. So, which I kind of did. I think I don't know if I just forgot to top stitch or forgot how good it looked. Anyways, I decided I wanted to do it. So, and if you are gentle and careful, hopefully you won't mark it and you can reuse the finding. But anyway, and it does take a bit of patience. As you can see, it's taken a little while to get this out, but it does come out in the end. So if you are going to top stitch, it's just like you want a slightly longer stitch length, like a 3, and you want to just go down beside each seam, basically. And here is the hack for what to do to make sure you don't get those marks. Basically, just take another bit of fabric, batting, quilted scrap, whatever, hold it on top while you're using the pliers, and that'll help. So you saw earlier how they looked, the 2 quilted ones without top stitching, and here is them with top stitching. So these are my favorites, this yellow one, and then this one, which is the Tulip Pink leftover ribbon. So I hope you liked this video. If you like tutorials like this, using up scraps and leftovers, scrap quilts and all that good stuff, then please do subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and leave me a comment and let me know what you think. Thanks so much for spending time with me. Bye.